The film that was advertised to change the hierarchy of the DC universe was not entirely wrong. Let's just say, yeah, after Black Adam came out, the hierarchy did change. Just not in the favor of the Raw. Hey everyone, Joe here from the Collection Companies. Welcome to 2023 and welcome to our DC's Black Adam home media unboxing. Today we have here the Black Adam DVD and the Black Adam 4K Ultra HD Steelbook exclusively from Best Buy. Black Adam was the long-awaited return to the DCEU, which I guess is now just going to be the dying term of the next 4 DC movies we're going to get in this year. But however, when Black Adam came out, it was very much meant to kind of be this sort of new beginning for the DCEU that, you know, they kind of got their shit together. It's been almost more than a year since the Suicide Squad, since the Batman didn't count towards the DCEU. It was his own thing, so Black Adam was the first thing to come out from that shared universe since the Suicide Squad the summer before. So Black Adam had a big task of like, okay, was this the film to finally really captivate the audience again, to be like, okay, we can do a shared universe concept. We can bring in this concept like that everyone is in the same universe, that we are going to build to something down the road. And to be honest with you, and this is just my non-biased opinion before we get to the actual review later on, I feel like there were embers of it. I'm not going to say there weren't any embers, but they never really sparked any fires, especially after that first weekend where, like, yeah, they were pretty much dead set on like, yeah, I think it would be better to just reboot and start fresh. But nonetheless, in terms of Black Adam as a movie, I think it was alright. However, how about its home media release, about its covers? To be honest with you, it's kind of the weakest I've seen. It just seems like they put it out haphazardly of like, yeah, we're gonna shimmy this along. At least with the Batman and even the Suicide Squad, those were more creative. I feel like in this case, it is a little bit more on that same trajectory, but it's not fulfilling the sights of where its predecessors, as I'll call them, like laid the foundation to. But yeah, so in terms of the DVD, we'll get to that, and the Steelbook, we'll get to that. There's even a 4K, like a standalone 4K one, which I'm like, that's alright, I guess. You know what, let's just get to it, because like I'm just debating on the mediocrity that is these covers. Now to start off, we have the DVD. Now the cover they use is one of the variant posters they use for one of the many different type of, oh, you can see Black Adam in this version, not just IMAX. There's 4X and 4D and of course Dolby, and you know, just so many different versions. It got a little repetitive at this point. In terms of the covers of the 3 that we have, so it's the DVD, the Blu-ray 4K, and of course the Steelbook. This is my superior one, but it's not because it's the best one, it's because it's the one I tolerate the most. I know it's still funny that, oh, superhero posters are kind of generic nowadays. Is the main character is the big guy, and then all the supporting characters are surrounding him. There's some cool VFX shots. There's usually some sort of cool battle scene happening in the small middle. And honestly, yeah, that's kind of how the formula is, and it works for me, at least. You know, at least that's what makes it an appealing cover, that if I was to display my DVDs like this, you know, covered facing, which I can't because otherwise I'll never have room for anything. It didn't make sense for anything that I was seeing, and then I'm like, okay, you know, I looked at this, I'm like, okay, of all of them, this is my most appealing one, in my opinion. Because yeah, you got Black Adam in the middle, you have the JSA, you have even the I forgot the name of the city, the Kantar supporting mom and son duo, and of course Black Adam and Hawkman's fight, which was literally, I think, the only decent part of the movie in terms of the fights. Yeah, no offense, the final fight scene was like, it's cool, but it's like, it's just generic, you know, anti-villain and whatever. Oh, I don't want to go because like this is an anti-hero movie. Side profile, I will admit the logo is pretty cool. I will admit that it is very much pretty stylized, and you know, definitely got that metallic theme going, so I do give them credit. On the back, it's literally, they knew that we don't have any special features on here, so they literally just enlarged everything about these promo photos, and then that's it, you know. Then you get the credits, the description, and of course there's no special features, nothing whatsoever. You open it up, it's just the DVD disc. And the one thing that even you'll see in the Steelbook, it's literally just this. It's just the cover. This is not even the cover. This generic color, the logo in steel, and that's it. And honestly, for the price it's worth, honestly, I feel like Black Adam in terms of a DVD, like I would say pick it up when it's like on sale. Like no offense, I'm not trying to disrespect the movie. I'm just saying what you're getting in return. Like the last review I did was Top Gun Maverick. Now that was a full retail price. The same with this one. And honestly, for me, I'm like, if I'm gonna compare between the two of them, of course, Top Gun Maverick was, as a movie, was worth $20, even though the DVD was very bare bones. For Black Adam, I don't think it's worth the $20 in this instance. It really isn't on that front. And just in my opinion. But before we move on to our Steelbook review, a little quick thing, if you're unaware, because we only do the DVD and the Steelbook unboxings here, there's two other versions you can check out right now that are also available. There's obviously the regular Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD version, and there's also a special Walmart edition that they released that includes a Funko Pop. Yeah, the one thing I'm starting to love is that Walmart's starting to do these like packages where like, oh, you get the 4K version and you get a Funko Pop. It is the generic flying one, so if you are interested in that, go check it out there. Personally, I have no interest in that because I already have a Black Adam Funko Pop, so it doesn't really appeal to me. But if you want some incentives, like, you know, pick up the highest quality version, that's available to you. In terms of cover art, it's alright. It's Black Adam sitting in the chair. For me, I know it's supposed to be an iconic pose from the comics, but for me, it was like a generic black backdrop, which again, I know what they were trying to do there, but for me, it just didn't sell. Now we have the 4K Steelbook, which, okay, look, I love The Rock a lot. I really, really do. Like, you know, at first when I was introduced to him, I honestly preferred Vin Diesel more than The Rock. Then the more I got to get older and more I got to know about The Rock, I was like, you know what? The Rock's a cool guy. I trust him. He really went all out for this role in terms of, like, the muscle building and, like, building, like, I think, honestly, the only actor in the history of comic book adaptations to actually make a near comic book accurate body sculpt. He actually did it. I mean, it was a little off. I'm like, you know what? He put a lot of freaking sweat into this, so I will always hold him to that. But getting a Steelbook where it's literally just his eyes with the hoodie, and yeah, you see the lightning, and it's like, it's kind of basic in my opinion. I don't even know what else you can do for a Black Adam suit. I really don't know. I mean, even the Shazam one was literally just the logo, like just the superhero iconography. It could have just been that, which is actually the backside, which I'll get to more of that in a second. But this being it, like the actual, you know, the actor just look, I'm like, I really was like disappointed. And I was like, when this got released, I'm like, if it wasn't for the reviews, I would have just saved till like an international version. Would have probably done a better job, which I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure. I haven't checked out what they were doing overseas, but I'm pretty sure they did a better job than this. Hell, I would have even taken that DVD cover for this one, in my opinion. Side profile, you already know it already, and the back is literally just Black Adam's logo. Now, they could have literally just did the same thing as Shazam and just did this whole thing. Like, I would have been fine with it. I wouldn't have complained. I would be like, oh, that's cool. That's it. And then, you know, you open this up and it's just 2 discs. And then the inside cover is just the iconic pose of Dr. Fate from the movie. And honestly, again, Dr. Fate, you know, played by Pierce Brosnan, you know, of all the characters, you know, and despite everything this movie is, I think they did a really good job with, you know, casting Hawkman and Dr. Fate, which I'll talk about in a bit. But still, in terms of the Steelbook, I really think they dropped the ball on this one. This was not the most well-developed Steelbook. This definitely was something they put out pretty quickly. And, you know, it's nothing that could be done, really, when it comes to these whole media releases. They are on, like, a schedule. They got to keep the ball going, already going on to the next thing. Hell, these things are even designed before the movie even finishes its theatrical run, so there really was no, like, you know, time to like really figure it out, in my opinion. The J card, which is just like the physical card for the back of the box, similar to the DVD, is almost the same thing. It's a little bit more minimized. The special features that you do get with this movie is Mystery Black Adam, the Justice Society, like, you know, 101, and then just other things about the action stuff. Like, you know, you're just generic. Your generic movie stuff, in my opinion. So yeah, for me, I was like, in terms of the whole media release side of things, I was not that thrilled. I feel like starting off the year with Black Adam was just not a whimper. I'm not saying that at all, but it's just, it's not as strong as I thought it was going to be. I really didn't. And then it's very unfortunate for me to say, because like I really wanted this film to like get the love it deserves, and it did to some extent, but in the whole media side, it just did not. This was just like, yeah, the movie did not do the money we were hoping it was going to make, so they were literally just going to say, screw it, we're going to just, you know, quickly get the whole media out, because literally the movie came out on iTunes less than a month after it came out. Digital came out in December, and then this got posted in January. So like not even 3 months. And I'm like, yeah, I know like the whole media, theatrical to home media is like very fast nowadays. I do get that. But like I would have expected like this movie to come out in late January. But like first week of January, already starting the new year off, trying to get it out there. Again, I know they're trying to push more people who haven't seen the movie in theaters a chance to see this movie. I get that. But if you're going to have them incentivized to own this, at least have some better looking merchandise. That's all I'm going to say on that front.
Here's the specs with It's Just George here, because he wants you to know that the Man in Black sent him.
I can fairly say on a level of weirdness, because to give context to my weird Black Adam opinion is that, so Black Adam was the first and so far only world premiere I've gone to ever in my life. And honestly, as much as I think it was the excitement of going to that original showing before everyone else did 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before the movie came out, and getting to see the movie with a bunch of free popcorn, free tequila, free drinks with Zola. And honestly, it was a very well done catered event. I don't know if they're going to do that for Shazam or anything. I really don't know. I'll figure that out soon. But for me, like, I looked at that movie and I was like, you know what, considering it was for free for me at the time, and then I got to get all these free amenities, I think I overall experienced it with the lens of like what the overall event was going to be, as well as, I got to meet a couple of the actors, I got to meet the cast of Stargirl, so it was a really good night for me. So I may have elevated the movie a little too much, in my opinion. Now, 2 weeks later, when I went to go see it in the theater with my friends, this time, like, it's strictly just a viewing. I paid for my ticket, I'm in my usual theater, I'm ready to go, and by the time we wrapped that movie, I was like, okay, it still was fun. I think people criticize about the CG a little bit more. Like, it's not perfect. There definitely are moments where I'm like, okay, this is a little bit too overdone, or like this is like a little bit too cartoony in nature, if that makes sense, in a weird opinion in my mindset. But overall, like, I didn't understand the super hate that the movie was getting. I thought it was alright. I mean, now going back into it, like, The Rock definitely is probably the only actor I can think of nowadays that could play Black Adam as a character, which I think that makes sense when, like, you have these sort of cases where, like, now going forward with the new DC universe, whenever that gets started up, where at this time, I can't imagine another actor playing Black Adam, and I feel like he'll come back in, like, a multiverse storyline down the road, and I think he'll be The Rock will be game for that, whatever that ends up being. But for right now, like, this movie was just so long in the way. It's one of those movies that was supposed to be made well before even the MCU became a thing. The Rock was announced as Black Adam, as a character, in the original Shazam film back in 2007. So by that time, we just got Spider-Man 3, Fantastic Four 2, and yeah, that was about it. I think there was no X-Men, but or a big DC project. But either way, like, at the time, it was like they didn't know what was going to work, and The Rock was still huge from the WWE at the time, so it's like this would make for a perfect sense, but things didn't pan out. And then, of course, obviously with the changing times and just how things were, changed. And the Black Adam only came out realistically, in my opinion, because of just where Warner Bros. Was at the time. They didn't really start full development and full, like, progression on this movie until Zack Snyder was gone. They had a whole new creative team involved that was very big of, like, we're going to move on from Snyder, but we don't know where the fuck they're going. And I do appreciate somewhat that The Rock did want to make a coherent DC universe, because, this weird era where, like, we had the Snyder era, then we had the follow-up, the separation of Snyder era, and now to this, like, weird, we're kind of like Snyder, because, like, every filmmaker said, no, our films canon to the Snyderverse, not really the Justin League version that we got, which, again, it all makes sense, because, like, Zack Snyder is a nice dude. It's just he was given the short end of the stick in terms of, like, just how the timing was of things, and just how things didn't turn out the way it needed to be. That, yes, I appreciate that. Yeah, you brought back Henry Cavill as Superman. Yes, I do understand you really try to make this, like, sold on, like, this is a DC universe where all these superheroes exist, and that Black Adam will fight them eventually. It just, at the same time, like, the movie mostly felt like kind of like something we got like in some certain MCU movies where like we're mainly making this movie to introduce the character, and that these ensemble films or these later films are going to benefit from just having the character. We just need an introduction. But sometimes the case being is that it does not work so well. That, you know, the movie itself, like for me, you have to like go into these movies of like, you can't like just depend on the cinematic universe. You can't depend on the existing universe. You have to be its own thing. Because there was a time where like there was no such things as connected universe. There was no such things as like this film connects to another, you know, and like doing this coherent storytelling. Like they didn't exist. You have to have the movie stand on its own 2 feet before you even think about bringing in other characters or trying to set up sequels. Because at the end of the day, if the main product isn't what you are being sold on, then why do you care to come back for more? If we did get a Black Adam 2 or like the Black Adam vs. Superman movie, and if you were an actual critical fan, why would you watch the sequel? That's at least how I'll pitch it. Like, you know, just I was not really hyped for a Black Adam 2. I was more like, yeah, Black Adam and Superman are going to fight. Yeah, that was the aspect I was concerned about. But the thing is, like, again, like I said before, like, the movie wasn't great, and then eventually, if you get your fight, and then, okay, you fight the Justice League, you fight the, like, you know, eventually once you fight everything, we need a proper Black Adam sequel that continues the character story. We're just in a weird place right now with comic book movies where, you know, the story continues in these, like, different platforms, these different mediums. It isn't just as traditional, like, okay, you get your first movie, then you get your second movie, then you get your third movie, and maybe you get a fourth or something. But, you know, now it's like, okay, then you have one, then you have two, although they're in this story, then they go back to their movie, and then they're in another story, and it's like, it's all over the place, which, again, like, it feels like where this movie was, and I feel like this was my final take on the movie, is that it was made with maybe some noble intentions, but however, again, they didn't really think of like what was the set game plan. They had the ideas, which is good, but you have to cook them a little longer before you get to that point. And I understand you've already waited almost 15 years to get this movie, or at least get The Rock's take on the character finally on screen. But the thing is that, you know, there wasn't really like, what's after that? And yeah, they were pitching Black Adam 2. They did have an idea, but it wasn't something that like they really probably knew for certain what it was going to be. But I don't think this is a bad movie. I really don't. I think this definitely is a good, entertaining movie. It is a popcorn flick. I know it was hoping to be something a little bit more deeper, a little bit more profound, to like really shake up the mythologically the mythos of this DCEU. I do get that, but for me right now, I'm just giving this movie a passable 1 thumbs up. You know, it's still enjoyable. It really is. It just is not going to like really like, you know, really be that change up that they were hoping for. I definitely appreciate what we got. I would have appreciated even more. But however, it's sad to say this is going to be a one and done tale, that if we do get to see a Black Adam in the new DCU, it will be a different actor, if that even is possible. Or when we do get to see him again, it'll be in an ensemble flick or something along that nature. It won't be what The Rock has planned. As for the whole media side of things, for me, obviously, of course, if you're going for quality, you know, 4K the version, whether that's the regular or the Steelbook, is superior. If you do want to just own the movie, the DVD is fine. I would still say wait for a price drop in the future. Just getting the movie alone is not worth $20 in my opinion. I know to support these things, but when you're kind of certain that you are not going to get a sequel and you're not part of what they're building next, then it doesn't really matter. It's one of those rare cases where like you can wait on it. It's definitely not going to bolster any chances like bringing Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam into the new DC universe. It just sucks to say that we're in this transitional period, and that's the hard truth. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but it's just the reality of things. But so for me right now, I would recommend the home media, but just wait for a price drop. They'll definitely get a price drop at some point within the next couple of months. But let me know in the comments below if you picked up Black Adam on any form of home media. I would love to have a discussion with you about it, on what you thought of the movie, what you thought of the version you got. I'd love to talk to you about it. But until then, until next time, this has been Joe here from the Collection Compass. If you want to know what we're doing normally with the Collection Compass, we do brand new videos once they're ready to go. Just being honest on that. The weekly, bi-weekly method is kind of not turning out the way it was supposed to be, but either way, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not. Like, favorite, share this video if you want to, and as well as please ring the bell for notification when our next video does eventually go live, which it will. But until then, until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching, and have a great night. Peace out.